The darkness of space stretched wide and endless. A small human ship drifted slowly between the stars, its engines tired and its hull scarred from years of travel. Inside, a lone human worked with quiet focus. His name was Ethan, a ship engineer who had chosen the life of a wanderer. For him, space was both a home and a prison. It was freedom and danger at the same time. Ethan had been alone for months, speaking only to his machines, eating ration packs, and watching stars pass like tiny sparks in a black sea. One evening, as he adjusted the power grid, the warning light on his console blinked red. Something was near, something massive. Ethan frowned, leaned closer, and scanned the radar. At first, he thought it was a drifting asteroid. Cold and silent, but then the image shifted. The shape was too perfect, too sharp, too alive. It was a ship, an alien ship moving with the grace of a predator. Ethan's heart raced. He knew the stories. Alien ships meant danger, unknown motives, and sudden death still. He could not look away. The vessel glided closer, dark metal glowing faintly under distant starlight. He whispered to himself, "Stay calm, just stay calm." But deep inside, he knew nothing about this meeting would be calm. The alien ship halted just meters away from his own. Silence followed, no weapons fired, no signals sent, only stillness. Ethan gripped the edge of his chair. Waiting then, without warning, his airlock hissed. The door shifted, metal groaned, and someone entered. Ethan froze. Every instinct told him to run. Yet there was nowhere to go. A tall figure stepped inside. The stranger was armored in plates of silver and black, scars running across the metal. The helmet retracted, revealing a face not human but not monstrous either. Sharp features, golden eyes that burned with intensity, and skin that shimmered faintly as if kissed by starlight. The figure looked at him, unblinking, calm, powerful. Before Ethan could speak, the alien spoke first. Her voice was low but steady, carrying weight like a command, too cramped to rest alone. "I'll sleep on you instead," she said. Ethan blinked, confusion spreading across his face. Of all the things he expected, this was not one of them. "Wait, what? Sleep? On me?" he stammered, his voice trembling. The alien nodded, as if her words were the most natural in the galaxy. She removed part of her armor, heavy pieces dropping onto the floor with loud metallic thuds. Her movements were sharp, precise, like someone trained for war. She looked at him again. "This place is small. I will share your space." Ethan shook his head. No, wait, who even are you? Why are you here? What do you mean by sleeping on me?" The alien tilted her head, studying him the way a hawk studies prey. Her golden eyes narrowed. "I am Cathar, warrior of the fallen clans. I follow warrior logic. Closeness means safety. Loneliness means weakness." Ethan tried to laugh, hoping it was some strange joke. But Cathar did not laugh. She did not even smile. She simply stood there, tall and steady. As if waiting for him to agree, Ethan's heart pounded louder. His ship was too small to fight, too weak to escape. And the alien warrior before him did not look like someone he could push away. Every part of her presence spoke of strength. Scars on her armor, old marks on her skin, eyes that carried the weight of countless battles. He backed away slowly, pressing his hand against the wall. Cathar moved forward, her steps calm but firm. "You fear me," she said, her voice almost curious. Ethan swallowed hard. "Of course I fear you. You broke into my ship, you're twice my size. And you're talking about sleeping on me like it's normal." Cathar raised an eyebrow. "Among my people it is normal when space is small, when danger is near. We share warmth, we share trust, it is the warrior's way." Her words echoed in the silence of the ship. Ethan wanted to argue, to push her back, to shout at her to leave, but something in her eyes stopped him. It was not cruelty, not hunger for violence, but something else. It was determination. Unshakable and fierce, she was not asking for permission. She was declaring her decision. The air inside the ship felt heavier, the space smaller. Ethan realized he was trapped not by walls but by the presence of this alien warrior. And yet somewhere deep inside, a strange thought whispered, maybe she was not here to harm him. Maybe she was here for something far stranger. The silence stretched between them, broken only by the hum of the ship's engines. Ethan took a shaky breath. This can't be real," he muttered. Cathar stepped closer, her golden eyes fixed on him. "It is real," she said firmly, "and you will learn, human, that sleeping close is not weakness. It is survival." In that moment, Ethan understood one thing. Whatever this encounter was, it was only the beginning, and nothing about his lonely life in space would ever be the same again. Ethan sat frozen, his back against the cold wall of his ship. The alien warrior Cathar stood in the middle of the cramped cabin, calm and steady as if she had every right to be there. Her armor clinked softly when she moved, and her golden eyes watched him without blinking. Ethan's hands trembled, not sure if he should reach for a tool, a weapon, or simply hide, but Cathar's voice broke the silence, low and powerful, like the sound of thunder carried through the bones. "You do not understand," she said. "But you will," Ethan frowned. "Understand what? That you just broke into my ship and decided you're staying? That you want to sleep on me? That's insane." Cathar tilted her head slightly, her expression unreadable. "Human logic is strange," she said. "You fear closeness more than death. You value space more than survival." Ethan blinked at her words. "What are you talking about? We don't just climb on strangers like that." Her golden eyes narrowed, sharp as blades. "Among my people, to share space is to share fate. When one warrior sleeps, another keeps watch. When one weakens, another strengthens. Alone we die. Together we endure." Ethan felt his throat go dry. Her words carried weight, like they weren't just a belief but a law she had lived by. Cathar stepped closer, her presence filling the tiny room. Her movements slow, deliberate, not threatening but impossible to ignore. "You think this is about comfort?" she continued. "It is not. It is about survival. It is about trust. It is about the bond that keeps warriors alive when the universe wants them dead." Ethan shook his head. "But I'm not a warrior. I'm just an engineer. I fix broken things. I'm not—" "You are alive," Cathar interrupted. "And alive means you fight even if you do not wish to. Even if your hands hold tools instead of blades. You fight every moment you breathe." The words struck him harder than he expected. Maybe she was right. Maybe just surviving out here in the emptiness of space was a kind of battle. Still, the thought of her logic made his skin crawl. He tried to laugh, but the sound came out weak. "So, what, you're saying I don't get a choice?" Cathar's lips curved, not into a smile, but into something like respect. "In war, choice is a luxury, survival is not. You may not understand now, but you will learn. Human." Ethan looked around his tiny ship. The walls seemed smaller now, the air heavier. How had his quiet, lonely world changed so fast? A day ago, he was only worried about failing engines and running out of rations. Now he was trapped with an alien warrior who believed lying on him was the same as forging an alliance. He rubbed his temples. This is madness," he whispered. Cathar stepped closer, her armor casting long shadows across the floor. "Madness to you, wisdom to me," she replied. "Your kind fears touch, fears closeness. But closeness is the shield against death. It is the way of my people. It is warrior logic." Her voice carried a strange calmness, almost soothing, like she wasn't here to harm him but to teach him something. Ethan felt conflicted. Half of him wanted to shout and push her out of the airlock. The other half was curious. Who was this warrior, really? Why had she chosen his ship? Why had she chosen him? Cathar's eyes softened for just a moment, as if sensing his thoughts. "My world is gone," she said quietly. "My clan destroyed. My people scattered. I carry the logic of warriors because it is all I have left. Without it, I am nothing. With it, I endure." For the first time, Ethan saw something more than strength in her eyes. He saw grief old and heavy, buried deep but unbroken. Maybe her strange words were not madness. Maybe they were the only thing keeping her alive. He exhaled slowly. "So, if I let you stay, if I accept this closeness, what does that mean?" Cathar stepped even nearer, her shadow falling over him. "It means you are no longer alone," she said. "It means your life is tied to mine, your fate to my fate. If you fall, I fall. If you endure, I endure." Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. Part fear, part something else he could not name. Her logic was alien, yet there was something deeply human in it too. The need for connection, the need for trust. He looked into her golden eyes, searching for lies, for danger, but found only truth. Cathar extended her hand, palm open, fingers strong. "This is the bond of warriors," she said. "Do you accept it?" Ethan hesitated, his heart pounded. His mind screamed against it. But somewhere deep inside, loneliness whispered louder. The kind of loneliness that had gnawed at him for months. Maybe this was not just her logic. Maybe it was what he needed too. Slowly, carefully, Ethan raised his hand and placed it against hers. Her grip was strong, unshakable, like holding onto a pillar of stone in a storm. Cathar nodded once, her face stern. but her eyes carried a strange light. "It is done," she said. "From this moment, human. You are not alone." And in that moment, Ethan knew his life had changed forever. The silence inside the small ship stretched long after Cathar's words. Ethan sat with his hand still tingling from her grip, wondering what he had just agreed to. His mind spun with questions. But Cathar acted as though nothing strange had happened, as though binding their fates together was as normal as breathing. She moved with calm precision, removing the rest of her armor piece by piece, each plate falling heavy onto the floor. The small cabin felt even smaller now, filled with the weight of her presence and the sharp scent of alien metal. Ethan swallowed hard, trying to find words. You really think this is normal, don't you?" Cathar raised one golden eye at him, her expression calm but firm. "It is not about what is normal. It is about what is necessary." Ethan leaned back in his chair, exhaling. "You break into my ship. You demand closeness. You talk about warrior bonds. And you say it's necessary." Her gaze sharpened. "Your kind fears what it does not understand. My logic is simple. Closeness makes trust. Trust makes survival. This is warrior law." Ethan laughed nervously, shaking his head. "On Earth, if someone said they wanted to sleep on you, they'd either be joking or insane." Cathar's eyes narrowed, not with anger, but with curiosity. "On your world, do your warriors fight alone? Do your hunters sleep without watch? Do your children survive without mothers pressed close?" The question struck Ethan harder than he expected. He opened his mouth to argue, but the words refused to come. She was right in a way. Humans did not survive alone, not truly. Not through history. But Cathar's interpretation was far sharper, far more absolute. He rubbed his face with both hands, muttering, "This is impossible." Cathar crouched near the console, studying it with a warrior's eye, her movement steady, controlled, every gesture precise. "You live surrounded by machines. Metal walls, silence," she said softly. "It weakens you, human. It makes you forget the bond that keeps flesh alive." "I see it in your eyes, the loneliness." Ethan froze, his chest tightening. Her words cut deeper than he liked to admit. He had been alone for months, maybe too long, maybe enough that an alien could see it on him as easily as a scar. His throat felt dry. "You don't know me," he whispered. Cathar looked at him again, her golden eyes steady. "I know enough." The clash between them grew sharper with every word. Ethan's human logic against Cathar's alien tradition. For him, personal space was a shield. For her, closeness was the shield. The contradiction created sparks. Invisible but powerful, every look, every word was a battle. A quiet war inside the tiny cabin. Ethan finally stood, pacing back and forth. "Look, I'm not saying I don't appreciate your help, but you can't just force your culture on me. I'm not built that way." Cathar rose to her full height, towering over him like a living wall of muscle and willpower. "You think this is culture?" she said, her voice low but firm. "This is survival. It has nothing to do with preference. It is law written in blood, tested in war, proven in the ashes of fallen worlds." Ethan stopped pacing, turning to face her. "And what if I don't want it? What if I don't need your warrior logic?" Cathar stepped closer, her golden eyes locked on his. "Then you will die alone, trembling in silence, waiting for the void to take you, and no one will even hear your last breath." The words hit him like a strike to the chest. He wanted to argue, but the truth behind them rattled him. How many nights had he sat in this ship, staring into empty space, wondering if anyone would ever know if he simply disappeared? Her logic was harsh, but it was also real. Ethan clenched his fists, torn between anger and understanding. Cathar turned her gaze toward the viewport, where stars drifted past like grains of sand. "My people once thought like you," she said quietly. "We built walls, we valued space, we thought distance meant strength. But when the enemy came, when fire rained from the skies, when screams filled the air, those who stood alone died first." Her voice carried no tears, no weakness, only a deep, unshakable truth. Ethan felt his anger weaken, replaced by something he did not want to name. He whispered, "And you survived." Cathar's eyes burned softly as she answered, "Because I slept close, because I trusted, because I did not stand alone." The ship's lights flickered for a moment, a reminder of the fragile vessel holding them both in the vastness of space. Ethan let out a long breath, shoulders sagging under the weight of thoughts he could not shake. Cathar's logic was alien, strange, uncomfortable, But it was also undeniable. He could laugh at it, resist it, call it madness, but part of him wondered if she was right. Part of him wondered if warrior logic might not only be for warriors, but for anyone fighting against loneliness, against fear, against the endless silence of space. The clash of worlds was not just between human and alien. It was inside Ethan himself, a war between the comfort of distance and the dangerous power of closeness. And deep down, he knew this was only the beginning of the battle, because the more he fought against her words, the more they echoed inside him, and soon he feared they might become his own. The days passed slowly inside the small human ship. Ethan found himself living in a strange rhythm, sharing his tiny world with Cathar. The alien warrior, every sound, every movement, every breath now carried a second presence. At first it felt unbearable, the closeness, the way she filled every corner of his space, but slowly, something shifted. Not comfort, not trust, but a fragile understanding. Cathar was not like him, and he was not like her. Yet they had begun to move around each other like two planets sharing the same orbit. She spent long hours in silence, sharpening strange blades, checking her armor, or sitting perfectly still as though listening to a world Ethan could not hear. He, on the other hand, worked on his ship's endless repairs, fixing small systems that broke more often than they should. Sometimes when he looked up, he caught her watching him, not with suspicion, but with curiosity, as though trying to understand what kind of creature survived through machines instead of battles. On the fourth day, the silence outside the ship broke. The console beeped, a faint signal cutting through the hum of the engines. Ethan leaned forward, scanning the radar. His eyes widened. That can't be right, he whispered. Cathar stood immediately, golden eyes flashing. What is it? Ethan pointed at the screen, his voice shaking. Movement, 3 ships. Closing in on us. Cathar's posture shifted instantly, like a predator sensing prey. She moved closer to the screen, her expression grim. Not patrols, not traitors, look at their formation. They are hunters. Ethan swallowed hard, his throat dry. Pirates. The word tasted bitter. He had heard stories of ships ambushed, crews slaughtered, survivors sold or left to drift in the void. His stomach twisted. They must have tracked us. Cathar raised her hand, silencing him, her gaze sharp and steady. Do not panic, human. Panic is death. Focus is survival. Ethan tried to breathe, his chest heavy, his mind racing. The pirates' ships were faster, better armed. He knew he had no chance alone. But he was not alone now, and the thought both terrified and relieved him. Cathar's voice cut through the noise in his head. Show me your ship's systems, weapons, defenses. Everything, Ethan almost laughed. Weapons, defenses, you're looking at a repair vessel. Not a warship. I have welding lasers, spare bolts, and duct tape. Cathar's jaw tightened, but she did not falter. Then we use what we have. Survival is not about the blade in your hand. It is about the will in your heart. The words should have sounded absurd, but the fire in her voice burned away his doubt. She began moving swiftly, checking corners, sealing doors, preparing as though she had done this 1,000 times before. Ethan followed clumsily, his hands trembling as he tried to reroute power to the shields so weak they were more symbolic than useful. The pirate signals grew closer on the screen, red dots circling like wolves around a wounded prey. Ethan muttered under his breath, We're dead. We're already dead. Cathar grabbed his shoulder, forcing him to look at her, her golden eyes blazing. You are alive until your last breath. Do not give it to them before they take it. Her words hit him like a spark in the dark, and for the first time Ethan felt a sliver of something he had not felt in months. Not hope, not courage exactly, but resistance, the refusal to give up. The first pirate ship appeared through the viewport, sleek and jagged, painted with symbols of skulls and broken stars. Ethan's pulse thundered in his ears, his fingers clumsy on the controls. Cathar stood tall behind him, gripping her strange weapon, a blade that shimmered faintly with alien light. She spoke in a low voice, almost a promise. Let them come. They will learn that even prey can bite. The pirate's comm channel crackled to life, a mocking voice filling the cabin. Well, what do we have here? A little human rat and... What's this, an alien pet? How cute, how profitable. Ethan's face went pale, his stomach twisting, but Cathar only smiled. A sharp, dangerous smile. They mock, because they believe you weak. Let them believe. It will make their fear sweeter when we show them truth. Her words were madness, and yet somehow they steadied him. The pirate ships moved in closer, weapons powering up, their shadows darkening the viewport. Ethan's ship shook under the pressure of scanning beams. Searching for weaknesses, Cathar raised her weapon and stood beside him, her presence like a wall of iron. For the first time since this nightmare began, Ethan did not feel completely powerless. He still feared death, but now he feared something else more. He feared disappointing the warrior who had chosen to stand at his side. The pirates were ready to strike, and the silence before the storm pressed heavy on the air. Ethan gripped the controls with white knuckles, his mind screaming at him to run, though there was nowhere to go. Cathar whispered one last line, her voice steady, calm, filled with fire. Remember, human, survival is not found in walls or machines. Survival is found in the bond we carry. Now breathe and fight. And as the first blast from the pirates lit the void in fire, Ethan realized the silent danger was no longer outside his ship. It was inside him, in the choice he had to make. To stay the frightened wanderer he had always been, or to become something more, something that could stand beside a warrior. The first blast struck Ethan's ship like a hammer against glass. The cabin shook violently, alarms screamed, and sparks rained from the ceiling. Ethan clung to the controls, his teeth clenched while Cathar stood firm, her golden eyes glowing like embers. The pirates had fired their warning shot, but everyone knew it was only the beginning. 3 ships circled like vultures, ready to tear apart the weaker prey. Ethan shouted over the alarms, "Shields at 30%. They won't hold for long." Cathar moved to the viewport, her weapon drawn, her stance calm. "Then we do not hide. We strike." Ethan spun toward her, panic flashing in his eyes. "Strike with what? I told you this is a repair ship." "I don't have weapons." Cathar turned to him, her voice sharp as steel. "Then you will use what you have. Every tool, every spark, every piece of your machine. Make it a weapon." Ethan's hands shook, but her words cut through his fear. Survival was not about what he lacked, but what he could create. The pirates fired again, beams of red light slashing across the hull. The ship groaned like a wounded beast. Ethan's fingers flew over the console, rerouting power from life support to shields. The air grew thinner, but the ship held for another breath. Cathar's voice carried through the chaos. "Guide me, human, tell me how your machines live." "I will make them fight," Ethan swallowed, forcing his mind to focus. "Okay, the welding lasers, they're not weapons, but if I overcharge them, they might cut through a hull." Cathar nodded. "Then make them teeth sharp enough to bite." He worked quickly, sweat dripping down his forehead as systems overloaded, lights flickering, the ship trembling under stress. Cathar moved like a shadow, securing loose panels, dragging heavy equipment into place, creating makeshift barricades inside the narrow hallways. Ethan glanced at her. "You've done this before." "Haven't you?" She smirked, a fierce glint in her eyes. "War is my breath, danger my shadow. This is nothing new." Ethan shook his head, muttering, "To me, it's everything." The pirates hailed them again, their mocking voices filling the cabin. "Little rat, little stray, give us your cargo, give us the alien. And maybe we leave you breathing." Ethan's stomach twisted, but before he could answer, Cathar leaned over the comm and spoke, her voice sharp and cold. "Come take me if you dare, but know this. I will carve your bones into trophies." The channel went silent for a moment. Then laughter erupted from the pirates, cruel and confident. But the laughter only fueled Cathar's fire. The first pirate ship moved closer, preparing to board. Grappling hooks extending like claws. Ethan's pulse thundered. "They're trying to latch onto us." Cathar raised her blade, her stance ready. "Then we cut their claws." Ethan pressed a button, releasing the overcharged welding lasers. The beam sliced through space, white-hot and trembling. The pirate ship shuddered as the beam tore into its side, sparks exploding, metal screeching. Ethan gasped. He had actually hit them. Cathar's lips curled into a sharp grin. "See? Even prey can bite," the pirates roared in anger. 2 more ships closing in, weapons blazing, the cabin filled with fire and sound. The hull screamed as energy blasts tore across it, panels bursting open, air hissing out. Ethan fought the controls, rerouting power, patching systems as fast as they broke. Cathar moved through the corridors, striking down boarding hooks with her glowing blade, her body a storm of strength and precision. Together they moved like 2 halves of one being, human logic and alien fury, survival bound in a single rhythm. But the pirates were relentless. Another blast rocked the ship, throwing Ethan from his chair, blood filling his mouth. Cathar caught him before he hit the wall, steadying him with her iron grip. Breathe, human. The fight is not finished. Ethan coughed, wiping blood from his lip. I'm trying. Her golden eyes blazed. Do more than try. Survive. He dragged himself back to the console, his fingers raw, his mind burning. If this was the end, he would not die as a whisper in the dark. He would fight. He rerouted power to the engines, sending the ship into a sudden spin. The pirates stumbled, their aim breaking. Cathar struck like lightning, severing another hook, sparks flying across the cabin, her roar echoing like thunder. The pirates cursed through the comm, anger rising. Enough games! We'll tear you apart, Ethan's heart pounded, his body shaking, but for the first time, fear did not crush him. He looked at Cathar, fierce and unyielding, and felt something rise in him, something stronger than fear. Together. They were still alive together, they had teeth, the trial was fire. But they were not ash yet, as the pirates regrouped for another strike. Ethan's hand hovered over the controls, his voice steady for the first time. Let's show them what survival really looks like. Cathar raised her blade, her eyes burning with pride. Yes, human, now you understand. Now you fight. The next moment would decide everything. Death circled close, fire filled the stars. And Ethan knew this was the test that would either break him or forge him into something new. The battle finally slowed, the last pirate ship retreating into the dark, its engines smoking, its weapons silent. Ethan slumped against the console, his body trembling, sweat running down his face, every muscle aching. The ship smelled of burned wires and hot metal. Alarms flickered weakly, but the silence outside told him they had survived barely. But alive, he let out a shaky laugh, half relief, half disbelief. We actually made it. Cathar stood near the viewport, her blade dimming as the last glow faded from its edge. Her armor was scorched, her arms streaked with dark alien blood, but her posture remained strong, steady, unbroken. She looked at the stars with a strange expression. Not joy, not triumph, but something heavier. Older Ethan caught the look and frowned. You don't seem happy we survived. Her golden eyes flicked toward him, sharp but quiet. Survival is not happiness. Human, it is debt. He blinked, confused. Debt. What do you mean? Cathar turned fully, her presence filling the cabin once more. Every life we keep means another memory we carry. Survival demands we hold the weight of the fallen. Their silence becomes our burden. Her voice was steady, but for the first time Ethan heard a shadow inside it. A wound that time had not healed. He studied her face, the lines of scars, the steel in her gaze, and realized there was a story hidden beneath that warrior strength. Your people, he whispered. You've mentioned them before. What happened to them? Cathar was silent for a long time, her golden eyes fixed on the stars beyond the viewport when she spoke. Her voice was softer, but each word carried the weight of fire and ash. My clan was strong. We were born for war, raised for honor, bound by warrior logic. No one fought alone, no one slept alone, no one died alone. She closed her eyes, a long breath leaving her chest. But then came the betrayers, a fleet of fire that offered peace with one hand and carried blades in the other. We trusted distance, we trusted walls, we thought we were strong enough apart. Ethan leaned forward, listening, every word like a piece of puzzle falling into place. Cathar's jaw tightened, her voice low. They struck us when we were scattered, ships apart, warriors alone. We fell like dry leaves in a storm, one by one, broken because we forgot the law of closeness. Her hands clenched into fists. When I woke from the fire, when I clawed my way out of the wreckage, my people were gone, my clan burned, their voices silenced forever. She opened her eyes again, and for the first time Ethan saw more than strength in them. He saw grief, raw and unending. The cabin felt colder, heavier, her pain filling the space as much as her presence. Ethan swallowed hard, unsure what to say. Cathar, I'm sorry. She shook her head sharply. Do not waste sorrow on me, human. Waste is weakness. I carry their memory, I carry their logic. It is my blade, my shield, my reason to keep walking through the dark. Her golden eyes burned as she stepped closer. That is why I came to you, why I chose your ship, why I chose you. Because you sit alone, lost in silence, waiting for death, and I will not allow another life to fade in loneliness. Ethan's chest tightened, her words striking deeper than he expected. He thought about the long months drifting alone, the quiet nights staring at stars, the fear of vanishing without anyone to notice. She was right, he had been fading. Not with battle, but with silence, with emptiness, and now, This alien warrior had shattered that silence with fire and blood, and something else he couldn't yet name. He whispered, "So when you said closeness is survival, it wasn't just your law, it was your scar." Cathar's gaze softened, though only slightly. "Yes, human. Scar and law both. Closeness is not comfort. It is not choice, it is survival. It is the only reason I stand here now, breathing beside you." Her words sank into him. Heavy and sharp, he looked at her differently now. Not just as a warrior or a strange intruder, but as someone carrying the ashes of a whole world. Someone who had lost everything, yet still carried the fire to protect one more life. His life, the ship groaned under its wounds. Systems failing one by one, Ethan pushed himself up, wiping the blood from his lip. "Then we'll fix this ship, we'll keep moving. We'll survive together." Cathar tilted her head, the faintest flicker of respect passing across her face. "You begin to understand. Human. Survival is never alone, it is bond, it is trust. It is warrior logic." For the first time since she had entered his ship, Ethan did not feel only fear when he looked at her. He felt something else, something stronger. A strange comfort in knowing he was no longer drifting alone. Cathar turned back to the stars, her voice low, almost like a vow. "Closeness saved me once. It will save us again, remember this, Ethan. When the void comes to take you, I will be there. Closer than your shadow." And in that moment, Ethan understood that her secret was not just about her past. It was a warning and a promise, a truth that would shape every step of their journey forward. The ship floated quietly in the dark sea of stars, its hull wounded but alive. Inside, Ethan sat at the console, patching broken circuits with tired hands, his mind heavy but clear. Cathar stood near the viewport, her tall frame steady, her golden eyes fixed on the endless void ahead. For the first time, Ethan realized the silence around them no longer felt empty. It felt shared, it felt alive. The battle with the pirates had scarred them both, but it had also forged something stronger than steel. Not a friendship, not yet, but a bond born in fire and trust. In the strange warrior logic that tied their fates together, Ethan adjusted the power flow and glanced at her. "Engines are back at 50%, life support at 70. We can move again." Cathar nodded slowly, her voice calm. "Good. A wounded beast must still walk, or the wolves will return." Ethan smiled faintly at her words. Strange but true. "So where do we go now?" Cathar turned her head toward him, her expression unreadable. "Forward, always forward. Never back, never still. That is the only path for survivors." He leaned back in his chair, staring at the stars. "Forward sounds good, though I never thought forward would mean with you." Her lips curved slightly, not into a smile, but into something close. "You did not choose me, human. Fate chose me for you, as I chose you for fate." Her words sent a chill through him, but not of fear, more of awe. He had spent so long running from the idea of connection, hiding in silence, believing he was safer alone, but now, with this alien warrior standing beside him, he felt a strength he had never known before. A strange comfort that he no longer had to face the void by himself. Cathar's voice broke his thoughts. "You are changed, I see it in your eyes, in your breath. The human who waited for death is gone." Ethan raised his eyebrows. "Gone, huh? And what am I now?" Her golden eyes gleamed. "A warrior not of blades, but of survival. A warrior who has learned that closeness is life." He let out a soft laugh, shaking his head. "If my old crewmates heard this, they'd say I've lost my mind, sleeping next to a 7-foot alien warrior, fighting pirates with duct tape and welding lasers, calling myself a warrior." Cathar stepped closer, her presence filling the room like fire in a cold cave. "Your people may not understand, but I do, and the void does. You are not prey anymore, human, not while you stand with me." The words struck deep, and for the first time Ethan did not doubt them. The ship's engines roared weakly as he set a new course, stars shifting slowly across the viewport. He turned to Cathar, curiosity sparking in his eyes. "So what now? Are we partners, allies? What do you call this bond of yours?" Cathar placed one hand on her chest, the scars on her skin catching the dim light. "In my tongue it is called Verthar, the bond of survival. Stronger than blood, stronger than law. It means your fate and mine are one." Ethan felt the words settle in him like a stone dropped in water. Rippling outward, he whispered almost to himself, "Then I guess we're bound now." Cathar nodded once, her gaze burning. "Yes, bound until death, and even then, bound still." For a long moment they stood in silence, the hum of the engines filling the air. Ethan leaned back in his chair watching the stars slide past, his chest lighter than it had been in months. He thought about the loneliness that once consumed him, the silence that felt like a coffin. Now that silence was gone, shattered by fire, laughter, and the unshakable will of an alien warrior. Cathar spoke again, her tone quieter, almost gentle. The galaxy will not stop hunting. More pirates will come. Worse enemies will rise. But remember this, human. When you close your eyes, when the void feels heavy, when fear takes you, I will be there close, closer than your own shadow. Ethan's throat tightened, not with fear but with something warmer, something he had almost forgotten he could feel. He nodded slowly, his voice firm. Then we'll face it together. Cathar's golden eyes softened, and for the first time a true smile touched her lips. Sharp but real, yes, together. That is the only way. The ship drifted onward, wounded but alive, carrying a human who had found courage and closeness and an alien who carried the weight of a lost world. Two souls from different stars, bound by fire, by trust, by warrior logic. And though the galaxy ahead was full of danger and darkness, for the first time Ethan did not dread it. He looked at the stars and saw not emptiness but possibility, not silence, but a path, a new fate written not in loneliness, but in the bond of survival.